Well, a warm welcome to this talk. I think it's nearly the 25th of April. Now, I get lots of questions on this, and the data is starting to emerge that stillbirths were up in England and Wales from 2020 to 2021, round about 8.7% increase. And we've got some sentinel data from Lanarkshire in Scotland, as is often the way from a Freedom of Information request. Now, I do know who made this out, and I do know who answered it, but I haven't got their data or their permission to share that information, so I'm not going to share that. But I do have it all here, and I'll give you the website for it so you can find that out for yourself. So let's dive straight into this data now. Now, number of births, not really that much different in Lanarkshire, where the Freedom of Information applies. So roughly the same. Statistically, I would say they're fairly similar. Perhaps slightly reductions in 2022. Stillbirths, though. So 2018 there was 14. 2019 there was 14. Went up in 2020, and that was somewhat increased in 2021 and 2022. Now, I know these are relatively small samples sizes, but we are dealing with a limited section of the country. But I think we are getting some statistically significant data from this. Let's look at neonatal deaths now. Here's neonatal deaths up to 28 days. So 6 in 2018, 6 in 2019, 5 in 2020. But significantly increased, so it's more than doubled in pretty well doubled in 2021 and trebled in 2022. Now, of course, important to realise that this was a pandemic year here, but this was before we started vaccinations, and then vaccinations were started here in these vaccinations applied in these 2 years. More on that in a minute. Preterm births, again, number of neonatal births less than 37 weeks, not really a significant difference, I don't think, in that data there. Early pregnancy losses, miscarriage or ectopic pregnancies. Well, pretty stable in 18, 19, 20 in the pandemic years, up a bit in 2021, but up really quite markedly in 2022. And as we see, double what it was in 2018. And of course, that was the pandemic year there. 2021, of course, we were vaccinating. 2022, we were vaccinating. But of course, and this is the thing that's concerning me, obviously, most of the babies that were born in 2022 were conceived and were undergoing their fetal development in 2021. So quite what is the relationship with vaccination, if any? Well, the Freedom of Information request, and I quote directly from the Freedom of Information request here. I regret to advise that I am unable to provide you with details of COVID-19 vaccination status for 2021 and 2022, as this information is not centrally recorded. Now, we were promised full post-marketing surveillance on COVID vaccinations. And I would have thought that would include early life and reproductive data. Well, silly me, eh? Because it's not recorded, at least in Lanarkshire. Now, is it recorded in other parts of the country? Well, if it is, it's not released yet. I would have thought this was absolutely fundamental to post-marketing surveillance of any new drug. Totally fundamental. But it appears it's not done. To find this information, we require a manual check of patient records. This information gathering would exceed the charging threshold prescribed in the regulations. Why isn't this being researched as a matter of urgency? Moving on to the Office for National Statistics. Stillbirths and miscarriages in the UK. 2022. Another Freedom of Information request. Why all this information has to be got out by Freedom of Information requests, I don't know, but it often has. Now, this is answered by the Office of National Statistics. Mortality statistics from England and Wales is their data source. And we see that in 2021, there was 2,597 stillbirths in the England and Wales in 2021. And this increased, this was an increase of 226 from 2020. And I worked that out as about an 8.7% increase, which in my view is massive. Now, this is for all of England and Wales. So I don't believe this can be a statistical artifact. We can say that between 2020 and 2021, there was an 8.7% increase in stillbirths in England and Wales. Why isn't this all over mainstream media? I would have thought this is probably one of the most important health stories of the year, but not a sound from them. We have not conducted analysis of stillbirth for 2022. Right, let's clarify this. The Office for National Statistics in the United Kingdom has not conducted an analysis for stillbirths for 2022. Difficult to believe, but these are direct quotes from their website. And of course, I'll give you the link so you can see I'm not making this up. We should know that in July 2023. We do hold stillbirth data up to June 2022. Therefore, we can produce this as a bespoke data request. What about a bit of willingness here, please? You know, why make it awkward? Why does someone have to put in a specific request? Why not just tell us? Why this apparent dance? I don't know. Anyway, the analysis will be subject to legal frameworks, why, disclosure control, why, resource control, why, and agreement costs, why. This is about stillbirths. Tragic, absolutely. I mean, of course, I've worked with many women, fathers, other family members who've been affected by miscarriages and stillbirths. It's devastating, absolutely devastating. A family never recovers from this. There might be further children, but they never recover from that trauma. And yet, this data is simply not being generated anything like as promptly as we would like it to be, and not adequately released. Miscarriages. Unfortunately, we don't hold data relating to miscarriages. So the Office for National Statistics in the UK does not collect data relating to miscarriages. Strange, but there you go. Just to clarify, they say, therefore this information is not held. Well, obviously. Now, what about other countries? Let's look at Australia. The latest from Australia, for example, here. This is from Australia. Stillbirths. Now, it's up a little bit in 2020, but I don't really think that's a significant because of a graph I'll show you in a minute. But the data only goes up to 2020. So Australia, pretty tardy as well. And this is also from Australia, stillbirths from 28 weeks gestation. And again, we see that the trend has been going down from 2002 to 2020, thankfully, due to better healthcare provision. And of course, there wasn't a lot of pandemic in Australia in 2020 and they weren't vaccinating. So that's pretty well a normal kind of trend there. But the United States is slightly different. Now, the United States, of course, now I've blown these up a bit, but that's 2020 there. So that line there is 2020. And that line there is 2015, to give you an idea of the scale. Now, 2020 was a pandemic year, and we do see a slight increase, but not a significant one there. So I think that is telling us that of course, 2020, COVID was running rampant through the United States, but apparently not causing more stillbirths in the United States. So from this data, and of course this is for all of the United States, it's looking like COVID did not cause an increase in stillbirths, which is remarkably good news from the US data, and yet in the UK we see an 8.7% increase in stillbirths. 2022, 2021. Therefore, we're probably looking for an explanation which is not COVID infection per se. Just before we finish, just clarify the definitions. This is from, we could have taken this from anywhere, but a stillbirth is a child which has been issued forth from its mother after 28 weeks of pregnancy, did not breathe or show any signs of life. So basically after 24 weeks. A miscarriage is less than 23 weeks. So greater than 28 weeks for stillbirths. Miscarriage is less than 23 weeks. A miscarriage is the loss of a pregnancy during the first 23 weeks. And of course, in fetal development, organogenesis, all the organs are formed after 12 weeks. Heart's been beating for weeks, of course. So we're dealing with a fairly well-formed, very, very small, but very well-formed fetus at that stage. Which makes it all the more distressing, of course. Causes of miscarriage. This is from the NHS site. Now, this is kind of in layman's terms, but I've just put it here. It's thought most miscarriages are caused by abnormal chromosomes in the baby. A bad genetic combination. If a baby has too many or not of chromosomes, it will not develop properly. So very often caused by genetic abnormalities. And yet we definitely see an increase in miscarriages, at least in the Lanarkshire area. So quite concerning trends. We're waiting for more data. The encouraging news is from the UK, Lanarkshire and the US data is that COVID per se doesn't seem to be causing more stillbirths and doesn't look like it's causing more miscarriages, which is encouraging. And yet we are seeing this increase, as we've seen an increase in overall excess mortality. And this demands an urgent explanation, I would have thought. Let's hope we get one soon. This is concerning. Let's hope this data is just a blip. It's not going to be an ongoing trend. But so far it is concerning, and we will keep an eye on this, of course. For now, thank you for watching.